Okay, everybody, welcome to PRL Tier 1 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the season finale here, the season finale of PRL Tier 1. Of course, it's going to be a very exciting race. I do apologise for the slight delay there. We did have a little bit of an issue with the game sound not working, so we had to just restart the broadcast real quick, but it's all fixed now. And yeah, we're in for a very exciting qualifying session and a very exciting race. So we're on board now with Simbrit. One of the most difficult names to pronounce. They don't make it easy. They don't make it easy for me. Some of the drivers. I'm not even going to attempt the second McLaren driver, but watching him on his hot lap, of course, he's known as a very good qualifier here and in other leagues. So he'll be looking at putting that car really high up the grid. If we want to have a look at who's going to be in the fight for pole, well, of course, Simbrit's going to be there, but we've got Calibob as well. He's incredibly fast. Steinzap also is a very good driver. Dace, he has a lot of pace as well. He's been unlucky in some of the races so far, but he does have the raw pace. Mark of Kenya, also quite a fast driver. Whether he's going to be quite in the fight for pole, I'm not too sure, but we will see shortly. Honesy, of course, he's always in the mix, no matter what league he's in. Zamvort as well, incredibly fast driver, as is Cam. So it could go any which way here in PRL, but that's what makes it so fantastic, as we see Simbrit locking up slightly on the front right, going through that right-hander. It's a very difficult braking zone because you're approaching it at such high speed, also at an angle as well though, as Mark of Kenya sets the benchmark time right now of a 1:34.5. Mark of Kenya has already gone back down to P2 though, because Simbrit's set a 1:34.0. So that's our current benchmark. Calibob 7/10 off that. He won't be looking at. He won't be very happy with that. But Cam's got a 5-place grid penalty. We just saw come up there. That is massive for the race. Absolutely, that's just massive news. He's hit somebody. It would appear, I think it was FLR that he hit. That's absolutely devastating for Cam, the racing point driver, who of course was on the front row back in Brazil. He is he's not going to be starting on the front row of the grid this time around. That's terrible news for him. The best he can hope for is P5, it looks like, in this session. So yeah, that's not something you see very often, as we see Rene has just gone and blown Simbrit's time out of the water. He's set a 1:33.495, so that's the provisional pole time right now. Of course, we're going to be looking at the times getting a lot faster as the track does grip in throughout the session. Steinmine, he's in P3 as well, so this is looking like a pretty strong showing so far from the Haas team in qualifying. I will have a little look at the championship standings as well shortly to see what is actually on the line here in the season finale. Of course, we know that the Drivers' Championship, that is already sorted, that's already been decided, but we need to look at the places a little bit lower than that, and also at the constructors. So right now Haas are in P1, they have 645 points, so they cannot be caught by Renault, who are in P2. So Haas are our constructors champions for Tier 1 this season. However, there is a fight for P2 between Renault and Mercedes. Renault with 521 points, Mercedes with 517, so only 4 points separating those two teams. This could yeah, this race will decide who finishes P2. Red Bull are a little bit further back in P4, they can't catch P3, but McLaren are only 11 points behind them, so it's between Red Bull and McLaren for P4. 481 points for Red Bull and 470 for McLaren, so that gap is only 11. McLaren actually have more podiums than Mercedes and Red Bull, but of course what is more important is the consistency, and Mercedes and Red Bull have had those consistent points finishes that have really pushed them far up the order. We have Williams in P6 with 426 points. Of course, they are now too far behind McLaren to challenge for P5 or P4. However, they are in a fight with Racing Point and also Alfa Romeo technically, although Alfa Romeo are quite far behind them. Alfa Romeo could still finish P6 only if they had an incredibly good race, and Williams and Racing Point had terrible races. Doesn't look very likely though. But yeah, Racing Point are 16 points behind Williams, so it's going to be difficult to overturn that points deficit, but it is very much possible. Then we look further down the order. I think the last two places are going to go to AlphaTauri and Ferrari. They're already decided. AlphaTauri with 368 points and Ferrari with 262, so that's already decided. So the biggest fight here that we've got to look out for though is that fight between Renault and Mercedes for P2. Only 4 points separating those two teams, so we're going to have to watch out for Renault and for Mercedes in this qualifying session. Of course, we see Adri's in P4. He's doing a good job so far. His teammate T Widow though, he's only in P11. If we wanted to have a look at where the two Renault drivers are, well, they are Hugh Barley and Steinzap, and they are a bit further down the order, P7 and P13 respectively. They are going to be looking very much to improve. So yeah, it's all to play for still. It is very much all to play for here in the season finale. So we're on board right now with Adri. He's on his out lap. Of course, the Mercedes driver will be wanting to set a good lap time to try and solidify that P3 in the constructors. P2, sorry. In the constructors, so I'm sure he is going to be possibly taking some risks out there, trying to get himself up the order. He needs a really good qualifying lap though to try and aid his team in the Constructors' Championship. See, I think FLR, who has now moved himself up into P1 with a 1:33.4, only 0.05 of a second faster than Rene. I think he is going to be on his in lap, I think, right now. Rene on an out lap, he's just about to start his lap. He's just coming down the start-finish straight now. One of the shortest start-finish straights on the calendar. But you'd be deceived if you were to think that maybe we need some high downforce because of how short that straight is, because there are two absolutely gargantuan straights coming up as we're right on board with Rene. I'm sure he'll show us as he comes through this chicane and around the hairpin. You've got to get good traction out of here in second gear, short shift into third to maximise, to minimise wheel spin, maximise traction. And here is that first long straight that I was talking about. Low wings are really, really necessary for this track just because of these two straights. Of course, you do have the technical parts of the track, the chicanes, and also the third sector. But even if you were to get a higher lap time, a lower lap time, sorry, by being able to go faster through through the corners, you're going to be a sitting duck on the straight in the race. So you do need that low wing. And as he comes down the second of the straights, braking really late there, but getting the car turned in. Fantastic corner there from Rene. Caliwon making sure he's well out of the way of the Haas car on the outside of the track. FedEx Runner, he's another very fast driver. He's in P5 with Dace just behind him, separated by just over a tenth. I'm sure that could be a very close fight in the race. But we've got a checkerboard formation right now with AlphaTauri and the Haas team. First, second, third and fourth. Can Rene change that? He's coming around the final corner, he's crossing the line, and he does change that. He goes fastest. That's your provisional pole time there, 1:33.36 by Rene to put himself P1. Fantastic lap by him to beat FLR by a tenth. The Steinzap moves up to P3. Crucial in the constructors' battle there for Renault. The two Mercedes drivers now P8 and P9, so T Widow has improved, Adri has not. Steinzap's teammate Hugh Barley is down in P17, though he needs to try and do a little bit better if he wants to help his team out here in the constructors. But if Steinzap can come away with a really good points finish, then that is that's going to massively benefit Renault in the standings, and that could solidify that P2. But he needs a really good finish. As we see Adri moving up to P5. Mercedes not going down without a fight here in this qualifying session for the constructors. Just beating, edging out Steinmeier there by 2 tenths, but he will have another go at it, I believe. We do have 5 minutes left of this session, so plenty of time for drivers that haven't set times yet, or that have not set great times, to go and actually set some times. As we see, Honesy and Cam, they're P19 and P20. That's not where they want to be. They are two very fast drivers that will be looking at least trying to get themselves on the second or maybe the first row as well. So we've got FLR, he's in the pits. Stein's lap, he's going to be on his in lap after setting that time. Simba, he's coming into the pits now as well. Adri, I think he is on an in lap as well. Yes, he is. Steinmeier and FedEx both in the pits. Hugh Barley, he's moved himself up into P8 as we see him taking the Fernando Alonso line through the chicane. Absolutely fantastic there for Hugh Barley. That's just what he needs to do. Renault need to be there and thereabouts if they want to try and maintain this P2 in the constructors. Dace, he slipped all the way down to P9. He wants to be doing a lot better than that. He's on his in lap right now, I believe, after setting his lap time. So he's going to be wanting to get back into the pits, then get back out and improve on that lap time, as he also takes the Fernando Alonso line through the chicane. T Widow, he's in P10 for Mercedes. He's just coming out right now. He'll be wanting to improve, try and get near his teammate Adri's pace. Zambor, he's in P11. He's still in the pit lane. Mark of Kenya, he's in P12. He's out on the track right now, and I think he is going to be on a hot lap. Yes, he is, as we see him coming down the first of the two long straights. Currently in P12. Honesy, he's managed to move himself up into P14, but that's just not good enough by him, and it's not good enough by Calibob either. Two great drivers in 14th and 15th. Cam still not managing to set a time yet. He needs to try and improve. He's on his fast lap right now, I believe. He's going to really be looking to improve, as we saw. Was that somebody getting a little bit booky on the straight there? I'm not too sure in the background, but we will keep our focus firmly on Cam, and we just need to do a little bit of the admin here. We need to bring up the track map. There we go. Now we can see purple sectors and purple laps a little bit more easily. I think that's T Widow there behind Cam on his out lap. Yes, it will be, because Adri is in the pit, so he's going to be on his out lap. Cam though is the focus of us right now. He is on his hot lap. A little bit of a lock up, just like Sunbrit did into that right hander. It's really difficult. You've got to try and ease off the brakes really late in that braking zone to not lock up, whilst you quickly downshifting the gears as you get close to the apex. And look how fantastically well Cam is using the track limits. Just always on the limit, but never quite over it, and that is an absolutely fantastic way to hot lap. And he crosses the line, and it makes it P5 for Cam. Pushes Adri down to P6, 1:33.9 there, so 6/10 still off Rene on pole. I don't think he's not going to have time to set another lap time to try and improve on that, so it will be at the very best P5 for Cam in qualifying, but that will turn to P10 of course in the race, because we did see him pick up that 5-place grid penalty for a collision with FLR earlier on in the qualifying session. Here's T Widow, he's on his hot lap right now. He's got a Red Bull behind him of Dace, who's on an out lap. T Widow is going to be really pushing the limits of that Mercedes. He's going to be trying to improve, trying to put his Mercedes really high up the order to fight for the second place in the constructors, but that is a big lock up there on the front left. That's not going to help him. It doesn't look like it's hindered him too much. He hasn't run out wide through that chicane, which can really hinder your exit, so I think he's going to be okay. He's just going to try and clip all the apexes through the chicane. Very nice. Don't run too wide on the exit. He doesn't. This is looking like a pretty tidy lap here by T Widow. He's made a couple mistakes, run a little bit wide there as well, but it's not looking too bad. I don't think it's going to trouble the very front runners, but he's going to be looking to getting himself firmly within the top 10. We'll keep riding on board with him as he rounds the final couple corners in sector 3. We see Rene, FLR, Steinzap and Simbrit, the top 4 drivers, all on their out laps right now. Hopefully they'll be able to get round, set their lap times as T Widow crosses the line, and he cannot improve. He might be on a second flying lap though as we watch him. And then we ride on board with him, we see he's not, I think he just backed off. Yeah, he's backed off, so that's going to be the best T Widow can do, a 1:34.3. He will not be happy with that, I don't think, but it is what it is. He can't improve now. Hugh Barley has invalidated his lap time, but he's on an out lap. He's getting well out of the way of, I think that might be FedEx runner. No, it's not FedEx runner, it's going to be the other Ferrari of Frosty. He's on his hot lap, so we're right on board with him as he rounds the final couple of corners. That was lucky not to be an invalidation, because he did run a little bit wide there. Crosses the line, cannot improve from P19. He stays P19, a 1:36.3. Now we've got all the front runners on their hot laps now, though. Steinzap, Simbrit, FLR and Rene all on hot laps. So the top 4 could easily completely switch around here. Yo, what up, Terrible? Sorry, mate, I've only just got the comments up now, so I can read your comments now, guys. I'm sorry I couldn't before, but we've got that fixed. Hi, Herman Linda. Thanks for tuning in. What up, Terrible, bro? We're right at the death of this qualifying session. The top 4 are all on hot laps. Rene, I think, is going to be the first of the top 4 to cross the finishing line after setting his lap. Here he comes around the final corner, crosses the line, and he does improve. That's a 1:32.8. An absolutely fantastic time by him. Steinzap's backed off, so it's between Simbrit now and FLR, both the AlphaTauri drivers. Oh, and that's an invalidation there by FLR. He's hit the wall. His lap is over, so he's not going to be able to improve. So it's all down to Simbrit now in that AlphaTauri. Let's see, can he challenge Rene for pole? This is what we are all going to be waiting for. He's coming through the third sector now, only a couple corners left to go. And he's invalidated. So that is it, I think, for the top 4. Then none of them are going to be able to improve. FedEx Runner has set a time. He's snuck into the top 4. Great lap by him, setting a 1:33.9. But Steinmeier says, FedEx, see you later, mate. 1:33.8 improves by a 10th to pip FedEx to P4. I think pretty much everybody has finished their hot laps now. I don't think there's anybody else still on a hot lap. I think that's going to be it. That's your final race order. It's going to be final qualifying order, sorry, for the race. It's going to be Rene in P1, FLR P2, Steins at P3, Steinmeier in P4. FedEx takes 5th. Simbrit in P6. He might be a little bit disappointed with that. CamCam comes home in P7, but he does have a 5-place grid penalty. Repeat, CamCam has a 5-place grid penalty for collision with FLR. Sorry, earlier on in the qualifying session, so he will not be starting P7. Adri, he takes P8, but will get promoted up to P7. KDSX then follows him, then MST, then Mark of Kenya in P11, qualifying just outside the top 10 with a 1:34.2. Hugh Barley takes P12 after the qualifying session, a 1:34.2. Dace, P13, he won't be happy with that because he was only a 10th off FedEx Runner earlier on in the session before FedEx improved massively. We then have the McLaren driver, whose name I will not try and pronounce. T-Widow in P14 as well for the Mercedes team, who are trying to get P2 in the constructors. Zambot in P16, he'll be a little bit disappointed, but not as disappointed as Honesy will be, starting in P17. There's just confirmation for you guys. Our pole sitter here today, who else would it be other than Rene? Fantastic driver. Absolutely fantastic driver, fantastic lap, beating the competition by 0.6 of a second. Let's just go back to the very bottom and we see Calibob P18. What happened? What happened to Calibob? 2 seconds off the pole time. He must be very disappointed with that, a 1:34.7, and then we have Frosty and Young Ants rounding off the grid. But yeah, just confirmation there as well. Look, there's that 5 position grid penalty there for CamCam. I think it was for a collision with FLR, but FLR didn't receive the same penalty, so it looks like the game certainly thought that it was CamCam's fault. Don't even know if FLR even got a warning for it, to be honest. And I nearly left the session by accident. Then that would have been a bit of a mistake. Okay, everybody, so everybody's going to be lining up on the grid now and deciding their strategies for the race. I'm sure AWS Graphics will charitably contribute a little bit of a prediction on strategy during the formation lap. But yeah, right now everybody is just sorting out their strategies before the formation lap. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so here we are on the formation lap. Rene leading the way, obviously setting the pace a little bit. A couple of small gaps forming, but nothing too drastic. A McLaren driver there managing to get himself disqualified on the formation lap. So just to clarify that to people that maybe aren't so familiar with the workings of the formation lap, that does not mean he's disqualified from the race. He is not. He will be starting P15 on his grid spot. However, it means that he has been disqualified from the formation lap, so he will have very, very cold tyres at the start of this race, because he will be just sitting on the grid now, waiting for everybody to get back round. Usually, how a driver would get disqualified on the formation lap would be for contact with another car. However, it doesn't look like that's what's happened, because if that is what happened, then the other car would also have been disqualified, because it does not discriminate on whose fault it is. It just disqualifies whoever makes contact. So it looks like perhaps he hit a wall. I'm not too sure, but he's managed to get himself disqualified. Perhaps he was AFK, didn't actually launch off the grid. There's a few different things it could be. But yeah, that's going to put him at a massive disadvantage. We may see him falling down the order on the first lap, because his tyres are going to be stone cold, whereas everybody else is going to be nice and warmed up. Rene, we see here, backing the pack up a little bit. He doesn't want anybody to be lagging behind and causing him to wait any longer than he needs to be. But there is here Mark of Kenya. Look at the gap Mark of Kenya's got ahead of him. That's a little bit naughty. That is a little bit naughty by Mark of Kenya. Look how long he has waited. And also the driver in the last place as well. Young Ants, I think, has also been a little bit naughty, but not as naughty, because yeah, he's dropped back quite a lot. As we've got the Yuppie in chat. Hello, the Yuppie. How are you doing, my friend? Will the Thrill here as always. And here's our predicted pit stop strategies. It's going to be a 2-stop or a 3-stop, they're saying, but we have a couple of yellow flags. Perhaps a little bit of a glitch. The start sequence started and then stopped again. I'm not 100% sure. But yet the AWS graphics saying it's going to be a 2-stop or a 3-stop, so watch out for the pit stops, as Sezjek gets a drive-through penalty for the jump start. But here we are, away we go. Rene getting a decent start, but nowhere near as good as FLR, who's on his inside, but he has to back out a little bit. Steinzap looks at maybe making a move around his outside, but he can't. Rene leading the way still. FLR dropped back a little bit, but not too much. He's got a bit of a gap to Steinzap. Steinzap behind him as well, who's coming under threat from Steinmeier. The two Steins having a Stein Civil Wars. We see a crash there between Adri and I think that was the Alfa Romeo of MST. They've fallen down the order. That's some damage, but it hasn't caused a safety car. We've got some fighting going on further back with between Adri now and Mark of Kenya. Adri, of course, falling back a little bit after that bit of a scrap there. He's got Mark of Kenya only 4 tenths behind him, but look, there's a change of the lead. FLR's gone down the inside of Rene. He's just got the move done before the braking zone. Rene may be able to come back at him, as we see Adri down the inside of Simbrit as well, but Simbrit manages to hold on to the position. Then Adri takes it back through the chicane. They're switching positions willy-nilly all over the place. But here's Rene, 3 tenths behind FLR. He's going to be tucked up in the slipstream, but I think FLR's going to just have a little bit too much space for Rene to come back at him. Adri and Simbrit, they're fighting. They're side by side in the braking zone. They make a little bit of contact, but it doesn't look like there's any damage there to the two cars. Simbert leading the race. Mark of Kenya having a little look as well. He's having a fight with FedEx runner at the same time. A lot of scrapping here in the midfield. FedEx and Mark are still side by side here as well. We'll try and ride on board with them. FedEx needs to watch out that he doesn't get spun there on the inside, but he has sent it down the inside of Adri. They've made a little bit of contact. Someone has spun around there. That's a Renault, I think, of Hugh Barley. No, it's not. It's somebody a little bit further back. Who is it? Is it T-Widow? I think it might have been T-Widow. Yes, I think it was T-Widow. That's massive for the constructors, because he is in the Mercedes that are challenging for P2 in the constructors against Renault. That's absolutely massive. Now we'll go back to the fight here between FedEx and Dace as well. Dace is getting involved after a little bit of contact and a lot of battling. Hubali's only a little bit behind Mark of Kenya, but he's got a great view of this three-way scrap here for P7 between FedEx, Dace and Mark. We could see the positions changing a little bit down the straight, and look, Hubali's got a great exit on Mark of Kenya as well. If he was really ambitious, he could make a dive. He isn't going to, though. He's just going to try and stick it out. Mark of Kenya takes a bad line through the chicane, though. Perhaps leaves the outside a little bit open to Hubali, but Hubali gets blocked off there. He's got to try and focus on the exit, but he's gotten the power down a little bit too early. He's run a little bit too wide on the exit. FedEx and Dace, though, here, they're fighting. FedEx has got is getting a great slipstream here from Dace, as we see a reminder of the pit stop strategies. They're saying either a 2-stop or a 3-stop. Dace still keeping his P7. He's going to be looking to attack Adri, but he's got to watch out from behind because FedEx is going to be putting him under a lot of pressure. FedEx has got a great exit here. He's not using his overtake button. Now he is. He moves to the outside. He's going to get past Dace, who isn't trying to defend it too hard, I don't think. We'll see as they come into the braking zone. FedEx and Dace still side by side. They're leaving each other's room, and FedEx gets that position fair and square. That's a great move there by the German driver to take P7. Dace running a little bit wide on the exit, but he's not going to be under threat immediately from Mark of Kenya. Hugh Barley's moved on to P10. He's gotten past Zandvoort. That's important for the constructors' battle. Zandvoort has a little peek down the inside, a little bit cheeky there, but it's looking like Renault are certainly the favourites for the constructors now because they have 2 cars in the top 10. They are firmly beating Adri with T-Renault out of the top 10. But look at this, side by side, Hugh Barley and Zandvoort. Zandvoort trying to go round the outside twice there. It doesn't quite work for him. FedEx picks up a 5-second or 3-second penalty, I'm not sure which one, probably for track limits. And Zandvoort, what an ambitious dive bomb. He didn't even try and make the corner there, but he can't get the move past Hugh Barley. He's probably going to be better off waiting for the straight. But Hugh Barley doesn't have much ERS left to defend with as well. But Zandvoort looking very punchy and looking very, very aggressive. It's like I'm riding on board with Mark of Kenya here with some of the dive bombs that are being made. But yeah, it's not. It's Zandvoort. Usually he takes a calm, measured approach, but right now he's out for blood against this Renault of Hugh Barley. He doesn't get a good exit though. It looks like Hugh Barley's just going to disappear down the straight. Mark of Kenya is going to have that Renault getting ever bigger, looming in his rear mirrors though, because the DRS and the overtake, and he is going to send it. He's going to send it down the inside of Mark, who leaves the space. And then the switch back there from Hugh Barley on Mark of Kenya. They're going to be side by side on the exit. Looks like Hugh Barley's going to get the move done. They have, and it's disaster there for FedEx. He's made some contact. He's lost his front wing. Renee's picked up a 3-second time penalty for the warnings. He's gotten back past FLR. I'm sorry we missed that because there's just so much going on. Zandvoort's gotten past Caleb down the inside. Caleb not having a great race in that McLaren. He's used to being much further up in the field. He does have that wing damage on the left of his front wing as well, so that's really going to be hampering him. He's got Cam just behind him, who hasn't made up any positions from the start after his 5-place grid penalty. He's going to be looking at making some inroads into the top 10. KDSX has got past FedEx now, who's really struggling with that front wing. He's going to have to box. It'll be interesting to see what the strategy he goes with, because I'm not even sure if the hards will make it to the end. I think they will, as we see Renee setting the fastest lap of the race now, trying to pull the gap from FLR, trying to keep him out the slipstream and the DRS. Steins up only half a second behind FLR, and FLR won't have the DRS to defend with if Renee can maintain this gap, so Steins up could be looking at attacking the German in P2. Steinmein, he's fallen back a little bit though. He's got Cernbrit right on his gearbox, only 3/10 between those two drivers. We'll keep riding on board with Steinzap. Actually, we'll look at the off-board. It might give us a better view of this little fight here. No wing damage for either driver, so it will be a fair fight. 4/10 between the drivers, but we'll see that coming down very quickly because open goes the DRS on the back of Steinzap. He's in the slipstream. He's got to go to the inside. Cernbrit defends it a little bit. FLR, sorry, defends it a little bit, but not too aggressively. But that's a big lock up there by Stein. That could allow FLR to try and get a better exit and come back at him. And look at how powerful that toe is. That reminds me of Daniel Ricciardo and Kimi Räikkönen in Austria. Right up behind the gearbox on the exit of the corner. And he's already alongside. And he's passed. FLR retains that position. Actually, that's Steinzap and Cernbrit, is it? No, it's not. Okay. Cernbrit is going to be looking at possibly getting back onto the back of Steinzap to make a move, but Steinmein is very punchy behind him. He's going to have to watch out from behind if Cernbrit coming back to Stein, sorry, coming back at him. Mark and Hugh Barley, they're very close together. Mark of Kenya not showing the pace that he usually does show in that racing point. He's in P7. He's fallen way back from Adri ahead of him. But look at that gaggle of cars. Lap 4 and the drivers are still incredibly close together. Honesy is right on the back of Hugh Barley. They're all taking so many different lines, just trying to get a little bit of a look in around the outside or down the inside of the driver ahead of them. This is the power of the DRS though here in and the slipstream in Abu Dhabi with those two long straights. This is a textbook DRS train. As we see Steinzap's falling down the order. Steinzap's had an issue. He's gone off. He's hit the wall. He's got big wing damage on the right hand side. He might be able to continue with that. It doesn't. I'm not sure how bad it is. Only he could tell us that with how it feels inside the cockpit of that Renault. And look at this. They've got that train behind them as well. Mark of Kenya leading Hugh Barley, leading Honesy, leading Zandvoort, leading Kalibob, leading Cam. It's such a long train. But Honesy is going to be looking at making a move here on Hugh Barley. He's got a good exit. He's got a good exit. He's got the slipstream. He's moved to the inside now to try and have a look down the inside of this corner. and Honesy is past Hugh Barley now. Mark of Kenya is going to be really worried having Honesy up behind him. Honesy is definitely going to be looking at trying to get an overtake done on Mark. The gap quite big there though, 0.5 of a second between the two drivers. It's going to be difficult for Honesy to bring that down enough to make a move into the braking zone, as we see Zandvoort getting past Hugh Barley. Steinzap still maintaining that P6, but he's being chased down pretty damn quickly by Mark of Kenya, so I would be surprised if we didn't see Stein coming in for a pit stop, because he is losing a lot of time to the cars behind him. But this is such an insane DRS train we're seeing, P6 down to P12. Young Ant's looking like maybe he's going to be a bit cheeky and get involved as well. Felix picking up a time penalty, but here goes Mark around the outside of Steinzap. Steinzap really struggling with that wing damage. He is going to come into the pits, but that's still a great move by Mark. Honesy getting past him and Zandvoort now as he comes into the pit lane. That was a great move there by Mark of Kenya to get round the outside of Steinzap before he came into the pits. Young Ants as well getting past Hugh Barley also in the pits. Both of the Renaults, it's fallen apart for them, to be honest. And look at this. Oh no, Hugh Barley! Hugh Barley, no! The amount of time he just lost there behind Steinzap breaks your heart. Steinzap getting a wing change. All Hugh Barley wanted to do, he also wanted to get a wing change. Oh no, devastating there for Hugh Barley. He's probably lost about 30 seconds there. That's going to take him way out of contention in this race, I think, unless we get a safety car. Absolutely devastating stuff there for Hugh Barley. But let's go back to the front. Rene leading the way now quite comfortably as well. He's already coming up behind the first back marker, who's had quite a few issues in this race. FLR and Simbrit, they're quite close together, the two AlphaTauri drivers. Will we see some team orders here? We'll have to wait and see. Maybe they won't be necessary, because look, that's a mistake there by FLR. He's let Simbrit get down the inside. They're going to fight, and FLR is going to lose that position. He can't get the switch back on Simbrit. And yeah, that's AlphaTauri 2 and 3, but the other way around. Steinman, he's 1.6 seconds back. He's got quite a gap ahead and behind him. He's pretty bored, probably quite this second with Andrew just behind him. Mark of Kenya then a couple seconds back. Then Honesy right on his gearbox. Honesy will be trying to look at making a move on Mark, you would think. Cam picking up a 3-second time penalty. This race has not been great for him. He's going to be looking to try and bounce back stronger than ever next season and maybe come at it with a title challenge, but right now it's not been good enough for him. And we see somebody else coming into the pits. That's going to be FLR, the first of the AlphaTauris to come into the pits here on lap 7, probably committing to the 2-stop, maybe even the 3-stop, but I would imagine it would be the 2-stop. Honesy just keeping it behind Mark of Kenya, 0.3 between those two drivers. But this is where the moves can happen, as we see Frosty retiring, and that's a virtual safety car. Frosty has crashed somewhere on the track. I think that's after the first, that's during the first sector. Yeah, we can see him there, stricken on the right hand side. He's lost that Ferrari through the fast corner, and he's thrown it into the wall, and that's the race over for Frosty. So let's have a quick sit rep now, as we are under a virtual safety car that's neutralising the race currently. We have Rene, he's in P1, as FedEx picks up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the VSC. That's thrown his race into even more disarray down in P17. Rene leading the way in P1. He's got 5 seconds back to Simbrit, who's looking pretty comfortable right now. Mark of Kenya then another 7 seconds behind him, so Simbrit looking incredibly comfortable, as we see the McLaren retiring there as well. That's going to be a yellow flag as he went straight into the wall there. Honesy in P4. He's just the second car of a massive train here. We've got Zandvoort, Calirob, Cam, and Young Ants just trailing off the back of the train right now. He wants to try and get within DRS. FLR, he's made his pit stop. He's going to be really quickly catching up to the cars ahead of him on those fresh medium tyres. Steinmine, he's going to be in P10. 1.6 seconds back as we see Simbrit coming into the pits, the second AlphaTauri driver. He needs a wing change though, so this is going to be an agonisingly long way. I don't think FLR got a wing change, so I think he's going to be comfortably past his teammate here, possibly ending the AlphaTauri battle for the time being. Cam, he's in the pits as well. I don't know if he needs a front wing or not. Frosty just saying there that he went wide through that fast right-hander, and yeah, we already know from that fast right-hander, if you do go wide, there's a lot of curb in there, and it will unsettle your car. It could even throw you up into the air a little bit, and I'm sure he probably lost all semblance of grip there. as we see FedEx won a DNFing. We're right on board with Hubali, see if we can see what's happened. I think he's just retired the car. There, I think maybe he had a little bit of an incident. As we see Hubali getting a little bit loose coming into the pits, a little bit of oversteer there, but I think he's managed to avoid any damage. No safety car called out though for the retirements, as we've had a few in quick succession here. Only the VSC that came out, as we see the pit window opening as well. Honesy picking up a 3-second time penalty for the corner cutting. Of course, with strict track limits, it's very easy to pick up those penalties, especially when the drivers are pushing and really pushing the limits. But Rene looking very comfortable out front. He's trying to stretch those soft tyres quite long into this Grand Prix, taking them longer than the other drivers have. Zandvoort getting past KDSX. I don't think KDSX is in the pits either. I think that is a battle on track. Yes, it is. KDSX maybe trying to come back at Zandvoort a little bit there. He's got Steins up just ahead of him as well. A little bit of a train forming there. I think that's the remainder of the DRS train after the pit stops. KDSX is on those medium tyres. Steins up is on the medium tyres, and that's nearly a spin there for Zandvoort on those hards that were getting a little bit worn. He's managed to catch it, but he has lost the position. That's a good save there by Zandvoort, but he's going to be kicking himself in the cockpit. As we see Adri set the fastest lap of the race so far for the Mercedes team, a 1:37.6. It's looking like Mercedes and Renault are still going to be fighting each other for the title. I think Steins up and Hubali both outside of the top 10. Adri in P9 and T-Widow in P15. He's in the pits though as well, so he's going to lose further positions there. But this fight for P2 in the constructors could come down to the wire still. Kalyov made his way up into P4. A great drive by him so far. Although he hasn't pitted, he's on those medium tyres after starting outside of the top 10. He's going to be looking at maybe working a bit of a madness on strategy. He's got the slipstream and the DRS on Mark of Kenya. Both of them having those ERS lights flashing. They're both running out of ERS. Both pushing a lot here. We'll go and look further down the field. Look at close Zandvoort and KDSX are in the braking zone. Zandvoort moves past. That's the power of the slipstream, but you'd probably be foolish to think that KDSX wasn't going to come back at Zandvoort here, because he's got to have the DRS. Looks like they make a little bit of contact. Zandvoort's so aggressive on the defence there on the right hand side, not leaving KDSX with any space, forcing him to the outside. See if KDSX can even hang his wing in there. I don't think he can, and Zandvoort's going to retain that position. Zandvoort driving so aggressively this race. I'm not sure if he's swapped PSN credentials with Mark of Kenya, but that's some very, very defensive, very sort of aggressive defensive driving there by Zandvoort, but it's worked out. He's maintained that P12, kept the Williams behind him, and there's not going to be any possibility of making an overtake through the sector unless there's a big mistake, as we see Kalyov picking up a 3-second time penalty. Let's go have a look at the penalties. So Honesy's got 6 seconds, Rene with 3, Kalyov with 3, Adri with 3, Kamkam, Zandvoort and MST all with 3 as well. So the drivers are doing pretty well so far. We're not too far away from the halfway point of this race, and most of the drivers have managed not to pick up any penalties so far, so they'll be very happy with that, I'm sure. It's always an achievement to not pick up penalties when you're driving on strict. Kalyov is very close up behind Mark of Kenya as well. I think Mark has just gotten past him. Let's go back to that fight between KDSX and Zandvoort. KDSX is going to have the DRS to bring him close to Zandvoort. The power of the DRS here is just extraordinary. He's going to be gaining down this straight, and then he's going to have another straight afterwards. As Table says, yes, Zandvoort is most certainly out for blood here today. KDSX only 4 tenths behind Zandvoort. He could have a go into the braking zone. It's now only 2 tenths. Now just over a tenth. He tries to go around the outside again. Switch back on Zandvoort. Almost pushing him through the chicane, but there's just nothing you can do. It's so tight through there. As Honesy picks up another penalty. He's got 9 seconds now. That's not great for him in P2. Closing up quickly on Rene. Is Rene in the pits, or has Rene made a big mistake? Rene is in the pits. I was wondering what had happened there because he was losing so much time, but no, it's just that he was in the pits. We'll have a little look at the stops as well. We'll see. Could Steinmine have actually jumped Rene here? And he has. Rene has lost 2 positions net to Steinmine and to his FLR, who was fighting with him earlier on in this Grand Prix. Stretching those tyres long has not allowed him to maintain the pace through the remainder of that stint, and that's put him behind his teammate and FLR. Now I'm sure his teammate will make it quite easy for him if he does catch him, and that's what we're seeing right now. Steinmein, is he going to go defensive? He's not, and Rene is going to be cleanly past him, I think, into the braking zone. But FLR's gotten past him now. FLR is not going to have as much grip from those tyres, because they are not going to be as fresh as Rene's, as Dace picks up a 3-second time penalty. However, he does have track position, and that could be quite important. Obviously, we know you can overtake here with the DRS, but you certainly can defend as well if you do save enough of your battery. And FLR's coming right up behind Young Ants. This is for position as well. FLR has made a pit stop, Young Ants has not. FLR's going to have a hell of a lot more pace than Young Ants, but Young Ants is perfectly entitled to defend, as this is for position. Young Ants not having pitted yet, that's why he's out of position there in P4. This could help, though, drivers like Calirob, Marco Kenya and Honesy ahead, though, if Young Ants can hold up FLR, but I doubt he will for very long. And look at the difference between the apex speed there of Young Ants and FLR. FLR needs to watch out that he doesn't actually lose his front wing going into the back of Young Ants. The difference in speed between the two drivers there is extraordinary. And FLR's going to go for the move down the inside of the pit straight, really aggressively moving to the right hand side, squeezing Young Ants there, telling him, I'm not happy that you kept me behind through that sector, you slowed me down, son. But he's gotten himself past. Rene is also going to be looking at maybe making a move on Young Ants pretty quickly. He needs to do it quick, because if Young Ants holds up Rene, FLR is just going to drive off into the sunset. Young Ants will have the DRS as well to defend, although he's not going to get very good traction, you don't think, out of this corner in comparison to Rene. But yeah, he will still have the slipstream and the DRS from FLR. I don't think it's going to save him from Rene, though, because look how quickly he's catching in that Haas. Maybe he's running a little bit lower downforce as well, but he's probably going to be using every tool available to him to try and get past, and he's gotten past very quickly. He knows how crucial that move is. He now has the DRS from FLR, who won't have it to defend as well, so Rene will be able to close up quite massively, possibly on FLR, who is catching up to Calirob and Marco Kenya ahead, who are now side by side into the braking zone. Marco Kenya on the inside, Calirob on the outside. Looks like Cali's got that position though. Marco Kenya come back to him though, and they're going to be side by side now through these set of corners. Calirob does have a little bit of wing damage, which is going to be helping Marco Kenya, who gets a slightly better exit than Calirob, and he goes cleanly around the outside there. So that is going to be Calirob getting moved down to P3 there by Marco Kenya. He's got FLR right on the back of him as well. FLR might be looking to make an opportunistic pass if these two are fighting. He's getting backed right up into Rene though, who's going to be licking his lips at the opportunity of making a pass here on FLR, who isn't going to get a great exit now after trying to go to the inside to make the move on Calirob, which didn't work. And look at the DRS train. We see the Williams of Honesy there in the pits. He won't be a million miles behind these guys if they keep fighting. But yeah, Rene and FLR are both going to be looking at trying to make moves here. FLR could be going down the inside right now. Yes, he is on Calirob, who has that wing damage, but Calirob manages to hold it through. He is not letting him get past easily. He's trying to defend this position, as I would like it if the game could actually show me the cars that I'm supposed to be looking at. There we go. And he has gotten past Calirob. He's gotten past that sector, but has he done it a little bit too early? Because Calirob is going to have the DRS. It's not going to be enough though. It looks like he might actually lose a position here to Rene as well. Rene is going to be, yeah, Rene is past Calirob. And now it's going to be Marco Kenya in P1, FLR in P2, and Rene maybe even had a look at making the move around the outside there. Good move by Mark, but it's not going to help him when FLR comes a knock-in, I don't think. Because FLR is going to have the slipstream, the fresher tyres and the DRS, and he's cleanly past Mark. But look, he's gotten a little bit of a gap there to Rene. If we go and have a look at the gap from the leader, Rene almost a second behind FLR now. So FLR making those crucial overtakes, Rene not being able to there. That's going to really hold him up. If Mark can hold Rene through this third sector. But Rene is still going to try it around the outside of the triple right-hander. This is a very difficult place to make a move, especially if you're on the outside, but he gets it done. Fantastic move there by Rene. FLR's going to be pushing like hell, trying to pull 2 tenths before the main straight because he wants to be out of that DRS. Rene is going to know the importance of trying to keep it in there though. He needs to keep that gap between 1 second to stop FLR from getting away, and it looks like he's going to do that. It's looking like Rene just does have more pace here than FLR. Calirob and Steinmein get past Mark as he comes into the pit. Zandvoort leaving the session. He's had a horrendous race so far, down in P13, although we've seen him doing some fantastic bits of aggressive racecraft. Mark's dropping down while he's in the pits, as well as Young Ant. Rene right on the back of FLR through the chicane though. And there's the DRS detection line as they pass it. Rene definitely going to have the DRS here on FLR. He's going to have the slipstream. He might be using all of his ERS as well. He needs to try and get past FLR and then pull a gap. It's right on board with FLR as we look behind. And he's passed. Rene has passed FLR before the braking zone. Easiest move that Rene has had to do. I think there he's got past pretty easily. Adri and Calibob are fighting here as well. Adri and Steinmeier as well having a fight. And Adri, what a move around the outside there. He's gotten past. Good move by Rene as well, we saw on the previous straight. Calibob's got the DRS wide open. He might be looking at coming back. We've got some fighting going on up ahead. I think that's FLR and Rene, but I think Rene's going to hold the position. Yes, he will do. And here goes Steinmeier attacking Adri. Adri needs these points for the constructors' battle. And look at that, Steinmeiner's missed out there. He's got a bad exit. Sunbrit's going to go down the inside in the AlphaTauri as well, but he's going to be able to hold the position there. Calibob maybe having a look at Sunbrit perhaps making a move, but he's not been able to so far. Look how close these drivers are. This is the... I know we've mentioned it a few times, but this is just how insane the DRS train can be. Adri doing an absolutely fantastic job for the Mercedes team though up in P3. If the race finished like this, then they would take the Constructors' Championship, and that's T Widow there talking about the Constructors' Championship. They would take P2 in the Constructors' Championship, sorry, not the Constructors. T Widow's had an issue there. He's down to P16. That's why we saw some yellow flags there. Honesty and Calibob there having a fight, or are they? No, they're not. Calibob's coming to the pits. Steins up's past him as well as T Widow picks up a 3-second time penalty, just rubbing salt into his wounds. But if it stays like this, Mercedes will take P2 in the Constructors. Adri doing an absolutely fantastic job. Steins up's down in P8. He needs to try and make up some positions, but he really needs Hugh Barley to just, I don't know, utilise a safety car perhaps to try and get himself up into the top 10. It doesn't look like it's going to be likely so far. Hugh Barley running in P17 all on his lonesome. As we see some yellow flags there, that is going to be MST Sport 99. He's had an issue. He's lost his front wing. And yeah, I don't think he's going to be getting points today as well, unless there's some madness with the safety car. He's got a whole lap now to drive with essentially no front wing. So yeah, that's going to be horrendous for him as we see Young Ants getting past Mark of Kenya. Mark of Kenya is going to fight that one back though. He does have this whole straight. He's going to have the DRS as well because he was behind during the detection point. He's going to probably try and have a look at making a move down the inside of Young Ants. We know that Mark of Kenya is not afraid to try and make an overtake, and he goes cleanly around the outside down the straight. Easy peasy squeezy lemons Jill for Mark of Kenya to move his way up into P10. We'll go back to the interval timing to try and let us better see where the fights are developing. And again, we just get drawn back into this little quartet of Adri, Stein, Simbert and Camcam, all very close together. Camcam's fallen back a little bit as we see Dace and Zambor. Zambor, of course, disconnected, so he's not going to be putting up a fight there. But Adri is in P3, doing a fantastic job to bring the P2 for the Mercedes team, but he's got 12 laps to try and hold that position. Steinmeier is pressuring him all the way as we see yellow flags there. That's FLR in the wall. FLR is in the wall there at the fast right-hander. We saw Frosty lose it there as well, and FLR has done exactly the same thing. He was in P2, and now he's down in P7 with no front wing, so he's going to be well possibly out of the top 10. He's going to have to come into the pits and make a stop to put on his a new front wing there. So that is just disastrous stuff, and he's picked up a 10-second time penalty for corner cut in the game. Just, it does not give you a break. Even if you've got damage, it just pretends you're fully able to drive. So yeah, that's devastating for him. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to really do anything in this race now. It's looking very, very comfortable for Rene. That's of course moved Adri up into P2. The knock-on effect of that, of course. Simbert's getting past Steinmeier though into this corner. He's gotten past cleanly during the braking zone. Grumpy is in the chat. Yo, what's up, Grumpy? How you doing, my friend? Glad you could come and join us here today. So yeah, just to run you guys over the race, if you are just joining us, such as is Grumpy, we have Rene in P1. He's looking very comfortable. He did have FLR just behind him, but FLR's hit the wall and lost his front wing. He's now down to P8, so that's disastrous stuff for him. Adri, he's going to be trying to bring home P2 in the Constructors for Mercedes. Mercedes right now only 4 points behind Renault, but if Adri can finish P2, then they are going to take that P2 in the Constructors Championship. Sunbert doing a great job. He's in the AlphaTauri. He's in P3. Steinmeier in P4, strong showing again for the Constructors Champions Haas. Camcam in P5, he's made a good recovery drive. He qualified in P7, but he had a 5-second a 5 position penalty on the grid for making some contact, so he dropped down outside of the top 10, but he's worked his way back up to P5. Honesy with quite a few penalties, he's up into P6 as we see FLR retiring. Has he hit the wall or has he pulled into the pits? I think he pulled into the pits there to retire, so there's not going to be any threat of a safety car. But yeah, disastrous for FLR. He was looking at making perhaps a play to take the lead, and it's all fallen apart for him today. Stands up, he's in P7, he's having a good race, just 2 seconds behind Honesy. He might be looking at pushing forward and trying to grab that P6. KDSX in the Williams, he's in P8, he's having a decent race as well for him. He's going to be bringing home a solid haul of points for the Williams team, P6 and P8. Mark of Kenya in P9, he's had a lot of action today. He's been involved in a big train. He's going to have Young Ants for company pretty soon as well, but he's in P9. Young Ants rounding off the top 10 so far in P10. Kind of up, he's in P11, he's a little bit far behind. He's had a few issues this race, so he's not really been able to show his true pace after a really bad qualifying. Dace and Zambort, the two Red Bulls, P12 and P13. Then we've got T-Widow in P14. He's had a pretty bad race. He was doing okay, but he's made some contact and he's fallen down the order. But here's Young Ants and Mark of Kenya, they're fighting. Young Ants has got a pass, but he has picked up a penalty for his troubles. Ubali moved up to P16 as well as FLR's retired. We've already lost 4 runners from this race and we still have another 10 laps left. It's looking like it's a little bit of a race of attrition here. Steins up picking up a 3-second time penalty there as well. Cam moving up into P4 as Simbrit pits. Of course, these drivers are probably going to be looking at making another pit stop as well, so it's still all to play for. Steins up moves up to P6 as well. Adri starting to close the gap a little bit to Rene, but I think Rene is just going to be so far ahead that he's not really going to have to worry. What this race needs right now is probably a safety car, because if that were to happen, all hell would break loose. We've seen what the DRS trains have been like. We've seen 4 or 5 cars, even if they aren't the same on pace, if they are there in that DRS train, they're just going to stay together. Look what's happening here with Young Ants and Mark of Kenya. You know, we don't know what their pace is actually like compared to each other, because they're always so close because of the DRS. They're just passing each other lap after lap. It's like Marcus Ericsson in Spa with Brendan Hartley a few years back. Dace coming into the pits, but quickly getting back past his retired teammate of Zandvoort. I think Mark is going to be a little bit too far behind Young Ants, who might be able to break away. But yeah, as I was saying, if there was a safety car, because of the slipstream and the DRS that would be enabled 3 laps afterwards, we could see quite a few DRS trains forming and a lot of action to come because of that. But right now, if things stay the same, it looks like Rene is going to be pretty comfortably in P1 come the last lap of the race, as we see Adri pitting, which means the race now becomes a 1-2 for Haas. Of course, Steinmeier and Rene will have to pit again as well, I would imagine. Cam in the pits as well. So it's looking like it's time for the second round of pit stops here throughout the field. We see quite a lot of drivers pitting. Steinzap's in the pits as well. The Renault driver needs to bring home some solid points. Adri needs to do the same. He's in the pits. We see Steinzap and Adri both in the pits. I think Adri is going to be ahead. Yep, Adri is ahead of Steinzap. No calamities there in the pits. Steinzap's going to come out in P10, I believe, just behind Calirob. Well, look how big this gap is up front. Steinmeier 11 tenths behind, 11 seconds, sorry, not 11 tenths, 11 seconds behind his teammate Rene, who is just absolutely waltzing away with this one. Honesy, we just ride on board with him there as he has a little bit of a lock-up on the inside wheel coming through this chicane. And he nearly loses the car there. He nearly loses the car there. He manages to catch it. A great catch by him. But that was nearly race over there for Honesy if he'd hit that wall. He's managed to save it. He will have lost quite a lot of time there. Simbrit's going to be gaining a little bit of time because of that. He's made his second stop as well, so he's going to be ahead of Honesy, I think, after Honesy comes into the pits. But that was a very near miss there for Honesy. We've got Mark of Kenya still quite close up behind Young Ants. It looks like Young Ants has a little bit more pace, but Mark of Kenya has just been able to utilise how powerful the DRS is just to stick with Young Ants and let him just pull him along, as they are catching up, I think, to Cam ahead of them as well. So that could become a 3-car battle pretty soon. Let's have a look at what the penalties are looking like as well, because there's quite a few throughout the field. Everybody pretty even on penalties. I mean, most people have a 3-second time penalty. There's a few there with 6, And Honesy all on his lonesome with 9, as Simbrit sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:36.7 on the fresh medium tyres. Adrian P5, he's got 2 tenths to the DRS of Simbrit. He's going to be trying to close that gap. MST's getting past Zandvoort as well. Zandvoort, who was disconnected. MST locking up a bit, maybe struggling with a bit of overspeed that he got by having the DRS down that straight. Adri has managed to fight his way into the DRS though of Simbrit. This could become a little bit of a fight soon as the DRS flies open on that Mercedes car. Only 8 tenths between Young Ants and Mark as well. This fight isn't looking like it's going to cool down. Mark of Kenya getting very late on the brakes there. It was a fantastic braking zone by him. He went a tiny little bit too deep, but yeah, very impressive on the brakes there actually by Mark. And that's closed the gap quite a bit to Young Ants, but I don't think it's going to close it enough. Looks like Young Ants is just a little bit too strong through this third sector for Mark of Kenya to actually be close enough. But here's Steinzap and Kaliwob, they're having a fight, the McLaren and the Renault drivers. Kaliwob has been passed there and he's not going to have another straight afterwards to try and get back past Steinzap, so it's looking like it's going to stay P9, P10 for the time being between those two drivers. Adri now only 4 tenths behind Simbrit. This straight is very short though, the pit straight, so it's not looking like he can make a move. He has just set the fastest lap of the race though, a 1:36, and the Cam quickly knocks him straight off his perch there with a 1:36.3. But these are the 2 fastest drivers on the track right now, and they're in P4 and P5 respectively. Steinmine only 1.7 behind Cam Campbell. That's quickly gone to 5 seconds there. I'm not sure what happened with the timing screens. Mark of Kenya just battling to stay within the 1 second of Young Ants, who has got some pretty decent pace actually, you've got to say here. The Alfa Romeo driver impressing with his speed in comparison to the Racing Point driver there, Mark of Kenya. Adri tucked right up behind Simbrit though. He could be making a look and a move. That's not English. Looking at making a move, but he's oh, he has to swerve out the way there. Simbrit's so much earlier on the brakes, and yeah, that might actually cost him the opportunity to overtake down this straight. The gap is looking like it's going to be just a little bit too big. We'll go and have a look at Mark. I mean, we're probably going to see exactly the same thing. Mark just too far behind to make a move, but within the DRS. But we'll check in just in case. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing here as well. Mark of Kenya, he's just not quite close enough to make a move, but he's close enough to stick with Young Ants. Thank you very much, Joe Gross. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, mate. Will the thrill. Yeah, boy. Always a pleasure to commentate here. The racing is just absolutely fantastic. 3 tenths now separating Steinzap and Mark of Kenya. So these guys, they've been fighting Mark of Kenya and Young Ants a little bit, but Steinzap has got the pace over both of them, and he's caught up pretty quickly as well. He's probably going to be looking at making a move on both of these drivers. Look how much more grip he's got on those fresh soft tyres. Mark of Kenya on the old hards. He's going to be probably trying to go to the end, only 6 laps remaining. If we go back and have a little, we pay some consideration to, we'll see actually, will he be able to go down the inside here? I think he will be able to just have a look at making a move down the inside. Pushes Mark a little bit wide, but leaves enough space. He backs off there though. I think that was possibly an illegal overtake. Perhaps Steinzap just showing a bit of respect to Mark and letting him go back past, as he thought maybe that move was a little bit unfair. But he's going to keep it within the DRS range and probably try and have another go. But as I was saying, there's a crucial fight here for P2 in the Constructors' Championship between Mercedes and Renault. It's looking right now, the gap was, before this race, only 4 points. Only 4 points. As we see Steinzap trying to make the move on Mark of Kenya. Down the inside, Mark's going to probably have to just let him go. I don't think he can really fight this one. He's going to have the DRS down the next straight. But again, you've got to think Steinzap's just going to have fantastic traction. But Mark could actually be close enough here to maybe try and make a move. I'm not sure if it would be the smartest thing for him to do. He'd probably lose quite a bit of time fighting with a driver that's just going to finish ahead of him anyway. But yeah, Steinzap is going to maintain that position. Mark just not having quite enough straight line speed to keep it. We're going to have a look here as well. Adri and Simbrit, they're pretty close together. But as I was saying, before this race, there was only 4 points separating Mercedes and Renault for P2 in the Constructors. Renault were 4 points ahead of Mercedes. However, it's looking now like Mercedes are going to actually come home in P2 in the Constructors' Championship if Adri can convert this P3 that he's currently in to the 15 points at the end of the race. He could be looking at making it a bit better. He could be trying to get 18 points, as we've seen him picking up a penalty. That's so harsh on the track limits there. Just got onto the curb a little bit and got penalised for it, but Simrit gets a much better line through the chicane. Adri loses it a bit there, he goes a little bit too deep. 2 tenths only separating Young Ants and Steins up already trying to get past Young Ants. He doesn't want to let this constructors battle go without a fight. He's going to probably dive it down the inside here. No, he's smart. He backs off. He realises that actually I need that DRS. The DRS is so powerful here. I want the DRS down that straight. So he doesn't go for the move when he probably could have made it, because he doesn't want Young Ants coming back at him down this straight. We see Young Ants, despite being on older tyres, still manages to get some really decent drive out of the hairpin. It's not going to save him though, because Steinzap is just going to have too much straight line speed with the DRS and the slipstream. And into the braking zone they go. A little bit of a lock up by Steinzap as he picks up a 3-second time penalty for cutting a little bit too much there on the inside. But he's past Young Ants. Adrian Simrit though, this is the fight that we're going to be looking at now. Look how close together these two drivers are, the AlphaTauri and the Mercedes. Ooh, Adri catching the oversteer there like Zandvoort did a few laps earlier. That was close there as well. We've seen a few drivers losing the back end a little bit through there, but they've managed to catch it so far. We haven't seen any crashes there, so that's a testament to the skill of the drivers, as we see Rene setting the fastest lap there, 1:35.3. He has just dominated this race since FLR crashed out. And talking about crashing out, there's a Renault there that's crashed. I think it's Hugh Barley. Yeah, Hugh Barley stricken with half a front wing. Simba picking up a 3-second time penalty. He's going to have Zamvo possibly, or no, it's going to be Rene coming up to lap him. But let's go and have a look what's going on here. We've got Adri behind Simba. Cam has just gotten past Honesy. Honesy could be trying to fight him back though, because he will have the DRS down this straight. Cam, of course, is going to be getting some nice traction, I think, out of here on the fresh softs. I don't think Honesy is just going to have the grip to try and fight Cam, to be honest. But I'm sure he will give it a go. Zambort said he stopped, it wasn't his day. Well, unlucky for him. Yeah, very unfortunate. But the battle that we're watching here, I think we're going to actually switch over to Adrian Sibrit, because Honesy is just not going to be able to come back at the Cam. He's not going to have the grip. And here's a battle here between Calirob and Mark of Kenya. Mark of Kenya right up behind Calirob. He's going to get such a powerful slipstream. Calirob got a better exit, but I don't think it's going to matter. The lights flashing on Calirob. He's losing. He's low on ERS. And look how much Mark gained at the end of the straight. Mark isn't going to try and dive it down. He's just going to try and pressurise Calirob into a mistake. But perhaps that was actually the mistake. Maybe he should have just dove it down the inside to try and make up that position. Calirob just keeping the position through there as well. It's really difficult to overtake through this part of the track. As we see yellow flags there, that's going to be a Renault. Is that Steinzap or is that Hubali? I hope he hasn't crashed into the pit wall. That'd be pretty embarrassing. It looks like maybe that's what he did. But I don't want to say that it definitely was, because I don't know. And Hubali has just retired in the pits as well. We've lost 5 drivers out of the 20, so a quarter of the drivers that have started are now out of this race. Only a few laps remaining though. It's looking like Rene is going to win this pretty comfortably. Oh, and Adri nearly going into the back of Simba, as was the closing speed there between the Mercedes and the AlphaTauri. They're fighting for this one. Adri does have 3 seconds more penalty than Simbrit does though. So it's really key that Simbrit tries to defend this, because if he can hold Adri up, then he'll win this on penalty. He'll win that position on penalties. But Adri has passed now. Now Adri needs to try and get his way up the road. He needs to pull 3 seconds. Sorry. To Simbrit, but Simbrit's not going down without a fight. He's got the DRS now. He's going to come back at Adri round the outside of this corner. Now, it's probably not the best line to go for, the outside. It's probably going to be easy to go for the inside. They make a little bit of contact. Adri getting a little bit reckless under the brakes. Simbrit is having none of it. They're making a lot of contact here, though. They keep tapping side pod to side pod, wheelbase to wheelbase. Adri trying to get down the inside, getting a lot of oversteer, really wriggling that car. He's pushing like hell, and Simbrit's going to keep that position. Could we see Adri dive it down the inside here? He's not going to. Simbrit's going to go defensive to the inside, though. Adri could try and make a move, and I think Simbrit's going to take that position. Simbrit is going to hold that position through this sector now. But this is a really close fight. Adri pushing so much, the car scribbling away underneath him all the time. Mark of Kenya as well, he's on the outside. He's just lost the position to KDSX. He was really wide there. I'm not sure if he got pushed off by KDSX or if he just made a mistake. But there's little pockets of fighting erupting throughout the field here. Simbrit and Adri, of course. I'm sure this fight will kick off again once they get to the the DRS straight. Simbrit running really low on his ERS. Adri's going to be looking possibly at making a move. Cam picks up a 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings on the track limits. That takes his penalties now to 6 seconds, which puts him at risk of losing his P4 to Steinmine. Adri pushing like hell to try and get past Simbrit. I wonder if he will even try and make the move. I wonder if he'll wait till the next straight, because we saw what happened last time. He passed him on this straight and then got repassed again down the next one. So we'll see, is he just going to try and wait and be patient? Although patience is not something that he can afford to have too much of, because he needs to pull 3 seconds to Simbrit, who has 3 seconds less penalty than him. Well, as these guys are fighting, Cam is getting very close, lurking like the shark in the background, and Simbrit manages to keep the position into this braking zone. So it's looking like Simbrit is going to keep that P2. I'm just going to have to settle for P3, but it's going to be good enough for the constructors' P2 for Mercedes, so perhaps he should be happy with that. But of course, as a driver, you want every single position you can possibly get. Oh, and they get really close there. Adri has to swerve. They're going to be coming up upon a crash as well that's ahead of them. Looks like one of the Alfa Romeo drivers has wrecked there. It's going to be MST. Simbrit's managed to pull a little bit of a gap to Adri, who had to swerve to avoid the back of Simbrit after he broke a little bit later than the AlphaTauri driver. It's looking like Simbrit's going to be pretty comfortable for this P2 though, unless he picks up a penalty. Cam's certainly getting involved now as MST decides to retire, so that's over a quarter of the field that haven't made it through this race of attrition. We could see a bit of a DRS train form here though, unless Adri falls back from Simbrit. He goes a little bit wide there. He's going to let Cam in, I think. Cam wants that podium position, and he could take it here. Steinmine could actually steal it from both of these drivers here. He could steal it from Cam and Steinmine, and Adri, sorry. Steinmine, of course, with 3 seconds less penalty so far. So as it stands, Steinmine would be P3. These drivers need to try and pull away. Honesy with 12 seconds of penalty, so he's going to drop down, I think, to P7 right now if it stays as it is. These drivers, though, they need to try and stop fighting Adri and Cam. They need to just try and pull a gap to Steinmine. Right now, Steinmine, I think, will take P4. He's going to be a little bit too far behind Adri, but he will be ahead of Cam. He needs to get his head down and just keep pushing, because there is a podium on the cards here for him. KDSX and Calibob there having a battle. KDSX has just gotten past him, and KDSX is now looking to make the move on Young Ants as well. He doesn't just want one, he wants two. He's going to see, does he go down the inside? Does he send it on the last lap of the race? Yes, he does, but it's not going to be enough. Now we're going to shoot back to the front of the field, because look, here comes Rene. He's just started the last lap of the race, and he's got 14 seconds behind him, so this is looking like it's going to be really comfortable. Rene just needs to be calm and collected. Unless he loses 10.8 seconds, his lead is the win is definitely going to go to him. In P2 we've got Simbrit, he's got Adri again just behind him. Steinmine now within the 3 second window of both of those drivers though, so Steinmine could actually take the P3 here today. Look how close these drivers are. Adri is not giving up on getting that position on the track from Simbrit, even though it won't matter once they cross the line unless Simbrit does cut some corners. But perhaps Adri thinks that if he pressures Simbrit enough, then Simbrit will make those mistakes. He will exceed the track limits and he will put penalties. We'll see, but here he goes down the inside on Simbrit, and I don't think he's going to be able to defend that one. I think that move is going to be easy for Adri. He's going to take that position. He gets a real big tank slapper coming out of the chicane that we saw there though, and Simbrit's going to be right back on him. They're already alongside each other. Simbrit's got the DRS as well. I'm sure he's got the rich mix and the ERS flowing. He's going to be on the outside. Adri's going to fight it back down the inside though. He's not giving up on this position, but it looks like Simbrit's going to get it anyway. They make a little bit of contact there. Front wheel to rear wheel, and Simbrit's going to keep that position, but this is helping Steinmine so much. Words cannot express how much this is helping Steinmine. He's closing up so much on these two drivers, and I think he's actually going to be able to steal away the podium here. It looks like though that it's got to be the win for Rene as he crosses the line. He slows down, he knows he's got a lot of time in his pocket to the car behind. He takes P1. Simbrit's going to come home in P2 as well. 3 seconds worth of penalties doesn't mean he's going to be under threat from any drivers behind. Crosses the line, P2. Adri crosses the line, crashing across the line in P3. and Cam in P4 on the road. But as I said, because of that fighting, Steinmine has snatched the podium from those two drivers. P3 with less penalties. Honesy takes P6, but Steinzap is probably going to be able to steal it away from him. No, he's not, because Steinzap's backed off to try and do donuts or something. He's backed off, and that's cost him P6. KDSX, he's in P8. He's got Young Ants just behind him, but Young Ants has more penalties, so KDSX is going to take P8. Calirob takes P9 after penalties, with Young Ants dropping down to P11. Mark of Kenya taking the last points paying position. Dace here, he's got great pace, but he hasn't been able to use it. He's been in a few scraps that just haven't paid off for him, and that's not a great race by him. He comes across the line in P12. T-Widow is going to finish P13 with Zambort P14, so I can declare your Constructors' champions this season are going to be Haas, and P2 is going to go to Mercedes. They were behind coming into this race, but Adri's got his head down, he's worked hard, and that work has paid off. That's P2 for Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship. Well done to them. Renault are going to come home in P3. Absolutely fantastic stuff. An absolutely great race to end off the season here in PRL Tier 1. Honesy picking up drive with the day, so well done to him. The Williams driver drafted in as a reserve. Picking up driver of the day here today. So here's your podium celebration, guys. It's a Haas 1-3. Simbrit coming home in P2. Absolutely fantastic race. The podium celebrations there. Haas taking the trophy for the constructors as well. But what an absolutely fantastic race, deserving of rounding off the season, I believe. It was a bit of a race of attrition, especially, well, actually throughout the field, not even at the rear. Throughout the field we saw FLR crashing out. He could have even gone for a win today. He certainly would have been on the podium. But there is the confirmation for you guys. Rene rounds off the season with a win. He'll be trying to come back next season and challenge for the title. Simbrit, fantastic drive by him, P6 to P2. Steinmine, a solid drive as well to go from P4 to P2. Adri, P7 to P4, great drive by him. Cam P12 to P5. Fantastic stuff. Rene taking maximum points as well with that fastest lap. Honesy P17 to P6. I mean, take a bow, Honesy. Round of applause for him. The Dutchman with an absolutely exquisite drive. Steinzap not having the greatest drive really, has he? He's gone from P3 to P7. Lost P2 in the Constructors to Mercedes. Not great for him. KDSX started P8, finished P8. Solid drive. Great drive by Caliber P18 to P9 and Mark of Kenya. Solid drive, P10 to P10 to round off the points paying positions here today. And this is where I leave you all. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to end the broadcast here. We'll be back stronger and faster and as entertaining as ever next season, so I hope you all tune in for that one. I'm sure it's going to be the best season yet in PRL. I want to thank everybody who has tuned into the races throughout the season, everybody who's drove as well. This has been an absolutely fantastic season to watch, guys. Thank you guys so much, and farewell. Thank you guys for tuning in, and yeah, have a great day. Hope you enjoyed the stream.